but we will return and build the desolate places.
Mm,
Thus
mm.
said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the bother of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord had indignation forever. And your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the bother of Israel. Okay. So verse 1 starts with the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. Okay. The word burden is used there.
Word burden.
Is it the same burden? Burden is what?
The Hebrew,
Mm-hmm.
the word is masa, which means a burden, but not any burden. It's a tribute, right?
Like
A tribute is something you bring to give.
Are
the
we
prophecy.
going to do an overview of what was happening at the time before
If
we
you
start
want
the book,
Okay, yes.
so
That would be
place we can place it?
to, go ahead.
All right. When Malachi is the last prophet that God sent to Israel, and then they had 400 years of silence before John the Baptist came. So he was the last prophet. He was the prophet that God brought up 100 years after they returned from exile. So, what to give us a proper idea, we are saying that at that time, Judah was captured and spent 70 years in captivity. Zerubbabel came back, the temple was rebuilt, and they were back in Canaan for 100 years. And then Malachi was sent. There were other prophets after they returned, like what I was Agai and others, and of course the book of Nehemiah that came around the same time. But 100 exactly 100 years after, and Israel was still not learning.
Interestingly, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were not existing at that time.
No.
They still had the
oh,
priests.
oh my.
All right, they didn't exist. Those came later when the
I,
Greeks started to invade and to take over, and the Hellenistic religions came in.
oh,
Right, and then the reaction from the people brought forth the whole Pharisaic tradition. Right, but we'll get to that at some.
that's
Yeah.
interesting because I would think that the Pharisees and the Sadducees were long
No,
time before,
No,
no,
no, no,
almost the
no,
same age than Christianity. Then
no. They're a few.
no.
They're a couple 100 years older, but
mm,
the issue for them was a reaction to the Hellenistic uh, influence in Israel at that time because
mm,
they saw the idol worshippers coming in and the Hellenists
Mhm.
coming in, the temple being influenced and the priests, the people changing into those that were not teaching the law. And so
they
they
decided.
the simple people, the Pharisees did not come from a high educated, sophisticated sort of people. They were
Mhm.
simple people who gathered together in groups, and that is where the word spread. And the Pharisees evolved from those things, and in fact, the word synagogue is not temple. Synagogue is a congregation. It's a gathering place for people who want to discuss and talk about and read the gospel and so on. It wasn't the temple. They weren't gathering in the temple to do that because of the Hellenistic evolution of the temple. So they would gather together on the outskirts, and it is there these gathering right of persons who wanted to preserve the traditions and the laws as given to Moses. This is where the Pharisaic
Mm,
experiment came from. So it wasn't yet.
yeah.
All right.
Well, just to talk about the origin of the name of Malachi.
Before you even
Because,
reach their
uh,
sorrow,
okay.
because the temple was the first. This temple was finished rebuilding, but worship and the priests were corrupt. They were corrupt again. The generation that existed um, was indifferent to what was happening around. Spiritual indifference. They didn't really care. And they were not looking for the coming of a Messiah. All of what Isaiah said about the coming of the Messiah, they no longer looked for it. And they loved money and owning things. And marriage to them at that time was not was mostly because of lust and not I marry you because I want you. And divorce was happening rampantly. So they were people who didn't follow Deuteronomy and Exodus and Leviticus at all. They had the temple, but the temple was just another building like what was happening before.
And it is not surprising because God's presence was not there.
Mm-hmm.
And that continued up until Christ came. And that was when Christ came, that was the first time the presence of God was actually in the temple for hundreds of years.
Exactly. So
Right?
although the temple was rebuilt, it never meant anything.
Not
It was
only
just another
that,
building.
not only that, they did not make any effort to get the presence of God to return.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if they did make the effort and they had repented as a nation and had subjected themselves to God's judgments, because at that time, remember, at that time, there were no kings. The kings that were in Israel were they were foreign kings, the Persians, all right, and after them Alexander and his people. So there were no Judaic kings or Israelite at that point. So they really had no reason not to turn back to the Lord. There was no It's not like with Jeroboam took the people into sin. Manasseh and the Israelite and the Judaic kings who were there either took the people towards God or took the people away from God. And the people followed them. But in this instance, there were no kings for them to blame, but the priests.
Yep.
The priests were supposed to be guiding
They
the
had a
people,
responsibility.
but they themselves were coming out of bondage, and they lost the traditions of their forefathers.
Yep.
They lost the dedication of the previous generations, and so it was watered down in terms of their dedication to the Lord. So they were doing a job.
Yeah, it was just a routine. And another thing, just like what Jackie said, unlike pre-Babylon, there were few prophets. There were only 3 prophets in that 100 years. Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. They were the only 3 prophets that God sent. So they really weren't hearing from God anymore. God had left them. And in that 100 years, there were only 3 prophets that came. And so the people were just doing religion as a ritual. Going to the temple and do everything was just a ritual. At that time, as well, apart from religion, and I was talking about marriage, inequality was a big thing because the purebred Israelites were having a problem with the Samaritans at the time. So the Samaritan and the Israelite problem started from that time. So they were having a problem with that. And like I said, God was silent. God was silent. Malachi was the last one before God just said, that's it, I'm done talking. And in the research that I'm looking at, they said Malachi came just like Elijah, and his message was similar to the one that Elijah brought.
All right, so you were saying about the name of Malachi now.
Yeah, go now.
Yes, the name Malachi would mean my messenger, and it was probably shortened from Malachiah, which means messenger of Yahweh.
That makes sense. Because he was exactly that.
The interesting thing is, this is what we need to. The names of some of these prophets would indicate their designation. Question is, did they get those names at birth, or were they renamed? That would be an interesting thing to check, because the names given to these people at birth, if that were the case, would indicate their designation.
What they were going to be. Yep. It would.
Is it a common thing for them to give them these children names that would say exalt the Lord, or is it not?
I would
Well,
think that just like Jesus renamed the apostle, that God would
It
give
is
them a name
possible.
as a Messiah.
possible.
It can be.
But you can
That's
also look at when we looked at Uzziah, they were named at birth for who they were.
Mm.
And
exactly.
and Israel has been known that their children are named with a meaning that is always connected to God. That's their
Yeah.
tradition.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of their traditions. So
Okay. But few live up to the name.
Mm-hmm. So uh, we so we see most of the prophets are Jews.
hmm
Yes. There are a few who are not, but
most are yeah.
Okay. All right. So anything you guys wanna add to this introduction?
no, that's right. So let's go on to chapter 1
Mm-hmm.
and verse 1.
In verse 1.
So the word here for
Burden.
burden, it can mean the actual load, or it can mean that which is given as tribute, right? A burden, it's a heavy tribute that you're bringing, right? But it's interesting when we read it. It is the burden of the word,
hmm
not any old burden. So it is a heavy word
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
from the Lord,
Yep.
a heavy message.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
the word here means a message,
hmm
a speech. So the words that are coming are not light. They are a strong message coming from the Lord as a
Yeah.
word, burden of the word of Yahweh.
It's heavy and it's important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, thus saith the Lord.
hmm
eh? And it is to Israel
Yeah,
by Malachi.
it's a different introduction here because most of the time, as you say, it said, "Thus say the Lord."
Mm.
hmm
But here, the burden of the word, they didn't put capital W at word, of the Lord of Israel by Malachi. So it's by the hand of Malachi.
So as this is Malachi saying, "Thus saith the Lord," in other words, but it
Yeah.
Yeah.
is
It's his way of saying it.
yeah.
Mm,
But again, the word burden could indicate God's heaviness of heart.
yes.
Yeah. After all he has done to them, they still had gone back.
All these messiahs him sent.
Messiahs, he's only
Oh,
saying one.
sorry,
No. All those
prophets.
messengers and prophets, and
Yes.
they still haven't learned.
Stiff-necked people.
They forget fast.
But Jesus is right. If all of these words and miracles that were performed in Israel were performed elsewhere, Lord, man.
Man, you have prophets before, during, and after, and you still go back?
Not only that, you had prophets when Jesus came. Jesus performed miracles and you didn't believe it. And after Jesus, people were performing miracles in His name, and
And
you
you
still
still never believe it.
and
You,
even now, up to this point, you still won't and can't believe it. Even with the word that you've been given so long, you cannot and will not. It
I
is
know.
an interesting conundrum.
It's like
I
a
don't
heart
know.
that is hardened, and the more time passes, the harder it
It gets.
gets.
Yes.
And
But it's a
you get,
curse.
it's like
It
a
is.
curse to
It
me.
is a curse. You say, want to say,
It's a
okay, you
curse.
will not.
You will not do this until.
Anyway, so let's go on
2. I have loved you, said the Lord.
to Israel.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
talking to Israel now.
Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us?
hmm
Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Said the Lord. Yet I loved Jacob.
All right. The question. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. Why Israel? Why not Judah?
Because Judah and Israel was one right now. All the remnants from the 10 were now inside of Judah. And so it couldn't be the two anymore.
Oh,
Was one
that was after the
Yeah.
exile and
This was
after the
all of
after
them
Judah then
together now.
Spain.
right.
Mhm.
So this was a completed Israel at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
A new
These were all the tribes.
Those remnants that survived, the foot and the what have you.
My
And,
foot and my ears.
Mhm.
So that include those that were over Ethiopia? No, not yet.
No.
No.
Those will
Come
be
on.
coming back only at the end
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
These were the ones who came back from Babylon.
Yep.
And whoever was probably
Remaining.
hidden in, who were there, because remember when Babylon took them, it didn't take everybody. They only took the strong.
And neither did the Assyrians. The Assyrians left those people who were weaker and firm.
Exactly. And remember, some of them fled to Egypt.
Some of them, no, some of them fled to Egypt. Those that fled to Egypt were killed.
Oh yeah, God is if you run, may I kill you. So
Right?
only those that were left,
The ones that were left were
the poor and the sick.
that remained in Judah. And remember that before when Jeroboam took the throne and he started bringing in the golden calves, etc., he had
Some had
expelled
left.
expelled the priests from Israel.
Yeah.
And a few people who were God-fearers left the priest.
Yeah.
From I imagine several tribes who left Israel. So move on. So this is to Israel, not to Judah.
This was to all of them. They were all together at that time.
So let's move on. I have loved you, said the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us?
Yeah. It's like a set of children who live with their parents and they said them parents to love them. After all the parents do.
Wait, show it to me. Show us how you loved us. I can't see.
I can't see it.
Right?
They have forgotten.
Yeah.
So if in the Hebrew, it says, I have loved you, says Yahweh. And yet you say, in what way have you loved us?
Deuteronomy says it. Deuteronomy 4:37 says, "And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt."
They've forgotten.
Yeah, they forgotten that.
They even forgotten Jeremiah's word when Jeremiah said that God said he loved them with an everlasting love and he would bring them back. And he did that, and they still don't get that.
It might well be that they're forgotten, but to me, it is more likely that they have minimized it. That is, God said, I have loved you and brought you out of Egypt, and I've done miraculous things and wondrous things. I've conquered nations for you. I've thrown out other people and brought you in. I've given you this, that. And then they rebelled. And having rebelled, they themselves were thrown out. They have been brought back, and they have established themselves in the land again. And now they're saying, I don't see how this is all adding up to love. And God is saying, what you mean? If you have followed my statutes and my law, then you would have been remaining in the land. But you are suffering because you have refused to submit.
They have diminished his love. Because remember in Isaiah, God said, I loved you. That's why I took you out of Egypt.
Yeah, and he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto their fathers.
Yeah.
Minimizing the love of God is one thing. But why? It is because they see themselves as deserving of his blessing,
regardless.
Irrespective of their behavior. They expect his blessing, and it doesn't work that way.
So they were still thinking that they were his apple and they were the meat in the pot.
You should. It's a mantra that is used now by people who want us to accept homosexuality. If your parents love you, they would accept you for who you are. That is the same thing. You know? Never mind that you're doing something wrong. They should love you and accept you and give you all the benefits, even if you're behaving badly. Even if they don't agree with what you're doing, they should love you enough to just accept you and to make you feel comfortable with the sin that you're doing. And God is saying, I ain't doing that. So they're asking, show us how you love us. You say you love us? I don't see it.
Prove it.
Well, Deuteronomy again, 23, 5 says, Nevertheless, the Lord thy God would not hearken unto Balaam, but the Lord thy God turned the curse into a blessing unto thee, because the Lord thy God loved. So, even though after all the wickedness them did and they were exiled, them him still come back and get them.
But no, Balaam was before. Balaam was when they were just coming into the land.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Balaam was when they were just coming in, and the Edomites, one of them, the Moabites,
The
was
Moabites.
because of them, right? So that is God saying, I turned Balaam's curse, the curse he would have given you, into a
Into a
blessing.
blessing, yeah.
He could not curse you. He had to bless you because he was my prophet. And the words he spoke were the words I put in his mouth. But in this instance, God is saying to you, I have loved you, but you are asking me, you are doubting my love. You are repudiating my love by saying, no, you don't love us, because if you loved us, you would have been blessing us. Even in our sinful state, you would have accepted us. As I said, this is the same argument that is being used by the persons who want to have people in the church accept homosexuality. If you love us, you would accept us. And God is saying that attitude ain't gonna fly for me. I will prove to you, I will show you how I have loved you, but you have not loved yourselves enough. Because this is so enough. I have loved you, but you have not loved yourself enough to be here properly and to accept my and be worthy of my blessing. So let's continue. We'll see it as we go. So he says, was not Esau the brother of Jacob? And yet I loved Jacob, right? Was not Esau the brother of Jacob?
Yeah, he was a twin.
Yeah. And
He
yet
was a twin.
I loved
Mm-hmm.
and I hate Esau.
Ay, ay, ay. Yeah.